Tonight, new information after a woman who was shot and killed by a Spokane County Corrections officer last December. We'll hear if there were any charges and what happened that night. Plus, to die with dignity, is it a choice? A new law could make it easier for those choosing death over life.
It'll be a little bit colder tomorrow, and that could lead once again to that battle between winter and spring, as we could see precipitation both in liquid and ice form.
Good evening, everyone. Glad to have you here tonight. I'm Regina On. Well, you may remember last December, a corrections officer shot and killed a 7-year-old woman in the entrance of the Spokane County Jail. Today, the prosecutor's office announced that officer will not face any charges. Our Casey Decker has the details on this developing story.
Well, just inside this door here is where the shooting death took place, but according to new information released today, police say it all started somewhere else earlier that day.
They say it began with a pair of bomb threats, one against Frontier Behavioral Health, another against the ER at Deaconess Hospital. The calls came from this Ramada Inn downtown, from a room registered to Nancy King. According to a county press release, officers knocked on the door, but she wouldn't open it. The release says SPD requested a behavioral health crisis responder, but that request was denied, and King later left the hotel. Crisis responders are provided to the city in an agreement with Frontier Behavioral Health. A spokeswoman for Frontier refused to answer our questions about this case or even about how requests are processed in general, claiming confidentiality concerns. It was later that night that King arrived at the jail. She entered an outer lobby and started buzzing to be allowed inside, county officials say. The receptionist called in Sergeant Justin White, who opened the door to the lobby, after which officials say King pointed a knife at White and started walking toward him. They say White backed away, pointed his gun at King, and told her to drop the knife, but she kept walking towards him, and he eventually shot and killed her. The prosecutor's office says this account is backed by eyewitnesses along with security tape. As a result, they are not filing any charges against White, calling the shooting justified. Following King's death, several local activist groups and King's nephew publicly questioned why White needed to use deadly force. King was 70 years old. Her nephew says she had struggled with mental illness in the past. Tonight, the president of the local NAACP chapter sent a statement to KREM. It read in part, quote, "When we justify excessive force being used on community members elderly or who are likely suffering from mental health issues, we have missed the mark. Justification is often misconstrued as permission to kill. I look forward to a day when we as a nation can see the humanity in the actions of those among us who are mentally ill or justice involved in the same way that we see the humanity of law enforcement officers."
And we put in a request to have access to that security video. It has not yet been released. Reporting at the Spokane County Jail tonight, Casey Decker, KREM 2 News.
New tonight, since you left work, Spokane police arrested a man downtown after threatening someone with a knife. Police received a call this afternoon of a man who assaulted a person. When police got there, they found the victim uninjured. However, when they found the suspect, he refused to put down the knife and police had to negotiate with him. And according to police, once negotiations efforts failed, police fired a flash bomb to distract the suspect and shot the suspect with rubber bullets. According to police, the suspect has been taken to jail for second-degree assault. The Senate could vote to ease access to Washington's death with dignity law. The measure already passed the House. Washington law lets some terminally ill patients get a lethal dose of medication from a physician. The Senate is looking at a measure that would shorten some wait periods for those requests. It would also let some experts who aren't physicians sign off on at least parts of the request, and it would let medications be delivered by mail. Supporters say removing the barriers will ease suffering. Opponents say it gets rid of safeguards to assisted suicide. Washington State Insurance Commissioner has issued an emergency rule which bans insurers from using credit scores to set insurance rates. Commissioner Mike Creedler says it's unfair and discriminatory to set insurance rates based on credit scores. He says insurers charge drivers with low credit scores 80% more for mandatory auto insurance. The emergency rule takes effect immediately, but it is temporary. Good news for the Gonzaga graduating class of 2021. There will be an in-person graduation ceremony, but it's going to look a lot different this year. There will be 5 different ceremonies on May 8th and 9th. All those ceremonies will be held in Union Stadium since it is outdoors. The stadium can hold 4,500 people, and under Phase 3 guidelines, attendance will be capped at 25%. Turning to weather now, we certainly started off the week pretty wet and soggy, but today we saw a little bit of sunshine, some nice temperatures. Thomas Patrick joining us now from the Weather Center. So Thomas, can we expect some more sunshine this week?
Yeah, later this week, but not so much tomorrow. Tomorrow is just going to be kind of a throwaway day weather-wise.
That's safe to say. We can just do one day.
Yeah, one day, just one day of some nasty-ish weather, and then we'll be right back to the sunshine, the 50s, and eventually 60s for the weekend. A little bit cool, a little bit windy for tonight. Those wind gusts that are around 15 to 20 miles per hour as of right now, that's out ahead of our next weather system, which is right here. You see all that cloud cover? That's heading our way, so it's probably going to be just a cloudy day for tomorrow, which unfortunately means it will be a bit cooler overall, especially during the daytime hours, but at least that blanketed cloud cover that moves in tonight will hold our temperatures up just a little bit. So we won't see that freezing fog or temperatures into the 20s like we did this morning. Instead, looking at about 38 degrees for the morning hours, but afternoon precipitation. And I have to say precipitation because we could get rain, we could get grapple, we might mix in some snow in some areas in North Idaho. It's just going to be one of those messy, raw, early spring days. So that's just kind of what I'm tracking, especially for the afternoon hours tomorrow. Highs only in the mid-40s. It's only a one-day deal. We're back in the 60s for this upcoming weekend. So we have that to look forward to, but coming up my full forecast, I'll break down that hour-by-hour forecast to show you where and when we'll see all of that precipitation. That's all coming up in just a few minutes.
Anything above 60 is amazing, Thomas. Thank you for that. Well, the Bulldogs are gearing up to take on Creighton this Sunday at 11:20 a.m. You can only watch it on KREM 2, and for the past 2 decades, Gonzaga has been an elite college basketball team. It's easy to take for granted just how good they've been and continue to be. Here's our Mark Hanrahan.
We are so used to seeing Gonzaga make the tournament, it's almost become routine, right? We expect them to do well. But when you really stop and look back at everything this program's done in the past 2 decades, it is remarkable. Before the blue chip recruits, before consecutive conference titles, deep tournament runs, and long before anybody could pronounce the school's name correctly,
Gonzaga,
there was the scrappy team from Spokane who put the Bulldogs on the college basketball map. The 98-99 season, Gonzaga made the NCAA tournament. In their first game, the 10th-seeded Bulldogs upset Minnesota and then 2-seed Stanford. And who could forget this tip-in by Casey Calvary with just 4 ticks left on the clock to propel the team past Florida and for the first time in program history, all the way to the Elite Eight. The Bulldogs then nearly beat the eventual national champions that year, UConn, losing by just 5 points.
I'm going to be here a long, long time.
The following season, Mark Few took the helm as head coach, and the team hasn't looked back. The Bulldogs have returned to the NCAA tournament every year since. Listen to these stats. They've made the tournament 23 times. They've advanced to the round of 32 19 times. 11 times they've gone to the Sweet 16, and they've made it to the Elite Eight 4 times, hoping to make it 5 on Sunday. The squad made it to the Final Four once in 2017, the same year they went all the way to the championship game where they lost a heartbreaker to North Carolina. The players on those teams have become household names across the Inland Northwest and beyond. Names like Richie Fromm, Matt Santangelo, Roni Turioff, Dan Dickow, Adam Morrison, Kelly Olynyk, and Kyle Wiltshire. Rui Hachimura, Nigel Williams-Goss, and Domantas Sabonis. Now it's Kispert, Suggs, and Timmy. The list of things this program hasn't accomplished is growing shorter. 22 years after their improbable run to the Elite Eight, Gonzaga is hoping to bring home the one thing that has so far eluded them, a national title. I'll leave you with one final stat. Under head coach Mark Few, the Bulldogs have an overall record of 625 wins, just 124 losses. Translation, he wins 83% of the time. That is pretty darn good. By the way, I will be traveling to Indianapolis along with my colleague, sports director Brenna Green, to bring you all things Zags starting on Friday. In the newsroom tonight, I'm Mark Hanrahan for KREM 2 News.
All right, Mark, sounds like fun, and be safe. Well, it's hard to believe, but it has been exactly 1 year since Washington Governor Jay Inslee declared the stay-at-home order. What has happened since, and where we're on track to go next. Plus, later, a grieving mother says the power of social media has helped bring more attention to the murder of her son. How a viral video has shown Jason Fox's family that people around the country are rooting for justice.